All right, welcome back. It's good to see everybody. It's been a while. Let me open by saying congratulations to Coach Price and another good class for our soccer team. Start with a little bit of housekeeping. We're adding 3 new coaches to the staff, which I'm sure everybody knows. Tim Cramsey will join us as the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. Coach Cramsey comes to us from Montana State, where they had one of the most prolific offenses in all of Division 1A the last couple of years. He's a Chip Kelly disciple, played for Coach Kelly at New Hampshire, coached for him there as well. Spoke to a lot of people about Tim, and we're very, very excited to have him. Jonathan Heimbach will join us as the new offensive line coach. Jonathan played at USC, has prep coaching experience, college coaching experience, and professional experience in Canada. Again, highly recommended. The recruiting ties in the West Coast mattered a great deal. And frankly, the unbelievable recommendation I got from Coach Grobe, who I respect a great deal, from Wake Forest. Mark Noodleberg will join us as the new running back and special teams coordinator. Mark comes to us from the University of Florida. Before that, he had been the special teams coordinator and tight end coach at Cincinnati, had done undergraduate coaching work and a graduate assistantship at Florida State. Being a special teams guy myself, we're kind of always on the lookout for the next really good young guy. And I actually met Mark over a year ago at the convention and got to know him then. Tried to bring him here in a personnel job, but he chose to go to Florida as the special teams quality control, which certainly I understood. But, our relationship was such that when we decided to go in this direction, it made it very easy to call Mark up and offer him the job. Mark and Jonathan will be available when I'm done if anybody wants to speak with them. Tim Cramsey hasn't seen his wife and children in a month, and when I say I haven't seen mine, that means I haven't seen him awake. He has not been in the same city as his wife and children in a month, and Bozeman, Montana is not an easy place to get to, so we cut him loose. If anybody wants to talk to Tim when we come back from our little break here, you're more than welcome to. There's one adjustment on our staff. Lester Erb will now move from running backs and special teams. He will coach receivers and serve as the assistant head coach and take over the role that Jim Hoffer had here for the first 3 years. I have total trust in Lester and am looking forward to working with him in a new capacity and, frankly, getting him more involved in what we do offensively. So shifting gears to the recruiting, today's the culmination of a year's worth of work, and with such an undertaking, I do appreciate your patience. I just want to say a couple of thank yous. First of all, to our coaches who hustle their tails off, and we're all over the place, and they're away from home a great deal, especially during the contact period, and it's difficult for us with the early, with the early bowl games. For us, the recruiting bleeds into the bowl prep, which kind of eats up everybody's time. So we're very appreciative of the job that our coaches did. To our coaches' families, we say thank you. The wives and children, they're the ones that make the biggest sacrifice. They lose their dads for a good amount of time. I want to thank our players. When they host, they're our best ambassadors, and our players did a fantastic job with this class. I want to thank our support staff, David Fox and Joe DeWolf in operations. Jason Severco started with this class. He left us to go to Hawaii with Nick, and then Brad Rogers picked up where he left off in terms of the recruiting operations and did a fantastic job. We hired a new assistant in August, Lindsay Wentker, who went to school here as an undergrad. She got thrown into the deep end as she started the job right as the season began, and then had to handle all the coaches' travel and recruiting. Did a great job. Chris, Andrew, and Dale in equipment were great. Ben Anguish in training. Adam Raymond in our video department, and Andrew Caudill, who works in academic support. All these people interact with our recruits whenever they're on campus. They do a great job. From an administrative point of view, we want to thank President Johnson and Provost Carmen for all their support. Obviously, our athletic director, Doug Newth, who is very involved and whenever he can interacts with the prospects that we have. Faculty athletic representative Dave Crosdale. Dr. Maples and his staff in admissions, we work closely with them. A special thank you to them. Chad Hartley, Billy Lee, and the rest of the staff in the SID's office. I really thought if anybody saw our website today, the Signing Day Central, it was really impressive. It was well done. I thought it looked really good, and those guys did an excellent job. Our compliance office, Brian, Ryan, and Joe. Housing office, Chris Carver, who's great with us. And lastly, a special thank you, and there are too many to name, but we have a lot of faculty that give up their time to meet with these prospects when they come on campus, and I want to take a moment to say thank you publicly to them. Excuse me. I've been talking for the better part of 2 months here, so I'm looking forward to this being over and then shutting up for a while, which will be nice. So I'm losing my voice. I'm doing the best I can. I'm very happy with this class and how the process went along. Admittedly, this may not be the sexiest class we've ever had in terms of how many guys did you beat Power 5 schools to get, and how many stars and all that stuff. And you guys know how I feel about that. I'm not worried about rankings whatsoever. And I think Chris put out a little thing today, looking back on some of the WAC classes that were ranked like 7 out of 9 and ended up with 3 pros on it. I mean, that, once you get past the top 25 schools in the country, people really don't know. I would like to think that we have a better idea than those ranking them, but even we don't know completely. I mean, some of these are educated bets that we're taking. But I feel really good about it because I think this class is really solid from top to bottom. I don't see a big gamble in the class where it's like, oh boy, is this guy going to pan out? We feel like we have a pretty good idea. We're trying to find more, and if I could just provide some context, we are trying to find more guys like James Butler, who came here unheralded. I think he was a 2-star prospect that really didn't have much going on. I think now 2 years later, we can look at James and say that was a good get. I mean, he's one of our better players. He's one of the better backs in the league. We're looking for more guys like Asani Rufus, who was a triple option state championship quarterback from Bakersfield that we said, hey, we're going to move to safety. It was us and Cal Poly, and Cal Poly wanted him to play quarterback. Now he's our starting safety as a redshirt freshman and led the team in tackles, or was close to the top. And we're looking for more guys like Brent Zuzo, who we didn't even announce in our first signing class, and has turned out to be one of the best kickers in the Mountain West. That's really the world that we live in. I've been a part of staffs at Notre Dame that, boy, we won a lot in February, but come September, October, November, it didn't quite pan out the way the recruiting rankings said it was going to. So we're not real hung up on that stuff. I think we're looking for we're not worried about the guy that's looking highly rated in the recruiting world, but guys that we feel like are really good people that will develop into frontline players. And I think now in a couple of years we've shown that we can find some of those guys. And that's what I think is good about this class. For a nice change, there weren't very many surprises, one way or the other. There were 1 or 2 bad ones, and really the negative surprise to us was a week out, not days out, so we were able to adjust. And it was one young man that we think very highly of, still do. He didn't have his hometown school, and his hometown school presented itself with about a week to go and wanted to stay home. And, you're not thrilled about it, but there's part of me that kind of gets it. Okay, I understand. And then, there's always one or two good ones. And for us, honestly, one of them was a prospect in this group who we weren't sure about because of academics, and his grades came in from the first semester in high school of his senior year, and a test score came back. And all of a sudden, it brought him into a place that we felt like we were more comfortable. And so that was a good surprise. And then obviously the signing of a graduate transfer from a Power 5, which was not really on anybody's radar, but one that we felt like we had a chance at and we're excited about. Balanced class, 11 on defense, 11 on offense, 12 on defense, if my math is correct. And I've been up since 3:15 in the morning, so there's a chance that my math is not correct. So we had some clear goals going into the class. I felt personally we needed help on the offensive line because of some career-ending injuries that caused attrition. I felt like it was important to find a couple of junior college prospects that might be able to compete a little bit more quickly, and some high school guys that we could develop some depth with. We did that. I felt like we needed to add depth at defensive back. We signed 5. We needed to add some size at defensive tackle, and we did that with one junior college prospect and one high school prospect who are both north of 300 pounds. Despite whatever we list. The high school guy is currently north of 300 pounds. And I felt like it was important to know the best players in Northern Nevada and find the ones that were the best fit for us and try to keep them at home, and we did the best we could there. We have 4 junior college players in the class, a 5th-year transfer, and 18 high school prospects. Again, we are reaching out in areas that we traditionally have not gone, but 7 states represented in the class: California, Nevada, Texas, which Texas was unique this year. Nobody from Dallas-Fort Worth, which has been better for us. 2 from Metro Houston, which is going to give me some pause because I was thinking about de-emphasizing Metro Houston, and now we end up with 2 what we think are very high-quality prospects. We're back into Utah again this year, which we feel really good about. Florida, which I'm sure got everybody's attention. It got mine. But when we got involved with the young man in Florida, we got a sense that we had a real chance, so we stayed with it. Virginia, which is now 2 in 2 years, and honestly, that's directly related to Coach Boone and his relationships. And finally, why not go to Alabama for the 3rd time in 3 years? The Reno to Alabama pipeline is open. But again, Malik Reed's been great. Cam Turner's going to be fine. He's coming off an injury, and I think Marcus Lucas is going to be great. And what happens is guys have a good experience. The families start to talk to one another, and all of a sudden it doesn't seem that far. So we've added another Canadian. Akil Lynch is originally from Toronto, Canada. So Coach Heimbach can talk to our 2 Canadians about what it's like to punt on 3rd down. So. 3 players with Power 5 experience in this class. And most importantly to me, and I think something worth mentioning, 8 players in this signing class, actually you can make it 9 players in this class that we had direct contact with, able to work with in camps. And that is a subject right now of discussion at the NCAA level, because there are some Power 5 conferences that don't want the satellite camps. And really, it's an angry recruiting dispute. It's a turf battle. We don't want Michigan having a camp in Alabama. Well, the reality of it is, for schools in the Group of 5 like us, the ability to go off of our campus is very important. And frankly, it's important for the young people, because if we won't let colleges leave their campuses and we force kids to go to one school at a time in order to be evaluated, we're putting young people from lower socioeconomic stratas at risk, and we're hurting them. We're not giving them as much opportunities. We worked with Arizona. USC allowed us to go to their camp. We worked with some people in Texas. that's a big deal. I mean, kids go to the Ohio State camp because they dream of being recruited by Ohio State, but the reality of it is they also go there because they know every MAC is going to be there, and all the Ivies are going to be there. And when we go to Chicago to the Northwestern Chicagoland Showcase, those kids know they're going to be seen by 50 different staffs, and that's a big deal. And these camps are a big deal for us, and it's my hope that calmer heads will prevail at the NCAA level. And if they want to tie up the Power Fives because they're in a turf battle, that's fine. But I think the Group of Five should be allowed to continue to leave campus because it's very important. With 8 kids in a class that we had our hands on, that's a really big deal. Before we talk about each guy, I want to take a minute to personally thank the families, the moms, the dads, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the guardians. They give up a lot of their time. They travel all over the West, all over the country with their loved ones to try and give these kids an opportunity. They allow us in their homes, and in some cases bring in some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. It is a very personal process. And ultimately, as we stand here today, there's 22 young men that their parents and their loved ones have entrusted us with, and we don't take that lightly. We take that very seriously, and we thank them for that trust and promise them that we're going to do everything we can to make sure we don't let them down. So I know it's a little monotonous, but just about every family of our recruits watches this press conference at home via the internet, and I wouldn't feel good about coming up and not talking about each guy just for a second or two. So I'm going to go just right down the list. Thanks, Chad. So first off, Travion Armstrong, 6'3", 215, wide receiver from the Episcopal School in Richmond, Virginia. Really good size and athleticism. Catches it very well. Made a bunch of really big plays for a state championship team. Again, Coach Boone's time in Virginia, we felt like it was worth just going back to take a peek and look around, and we found Travion. We got involved with Travion pretty quickly, and he stuck with us through the whole process. He was one guy in the class that did have a lot of Power 5 interest, and there was a Big Ten school that was trying to flip him all the way up to last night. So we appreciate Travion's loyalty and the way he handled the recruiting process a great deal. He is an exceptional basketball player. I mean, he's not just a football player running up and down the court. He can play hoops, and that's one of the things that's most exciting to us because you see real athleticism on the basketball court. Miles Beach, 6'4", 235-pound tight end from Los Gatos High School in Los Gatos, California. He's got good measurables. He's like not rivals 6'4". He's really 6'4". We measured him here. 235. He'll be a 245, 250-pound guy. Plays physically, and it shows up on offense and defense. He can block, which was important to us with this one tight end in this group, and he catches and runs fairly well. He's a sub-5 flat 40 guy at his size, which is pretty good. And again, another Bay Area guy, Mike Bradison, does a great job in the Bay, and we get to keep another Bay Area guy close to home. Daniel Brown, 5'11", 175 corner from Narbonne High School. Daniel lives in Carson, California. Truly a cover corner for a high school guy, high football IQ, and really technically sound. He has received some really good coaching at Narbonne. It's really exciting to watch the way he backpedals and changes direction on film. And he's got a great pedigree. Narbonne High School wins a lot of games, and they're the first city school in the history of LA to win a state championship. So they had an incredible year. And Ricky Thomas did a tremendous job. He recruits LA for us. The Narbonne guys love him. So we're excited about Daniel. Nate Brown is a gray shirt. Nate Brown graduated from high school in what would have been the spring of 15. We asked him to delay his enrollment 6 months, so he did not start his clock. So he enters here in January. He's on campus as a true freshman. We felt like he needed 6 months of physical growth and maturity, and darned if it wasn't the best decision that both he and I made, because he showed up here 20 pounds heavier. He showed up at 280 pounds, and it's not bad weight. He looks really good. And I could feel the 6 months of emotional and mental maturity as well. There's no doubt that the decision was a good one, and he's got great reviews so far in the weight room. Tracy, California, so he's close to home. Really good decision. We're excited about him. Carl Burton Hill is a 6'5", 295-pound offensive lineman from Dixon High School in Dixon, California. Really light on his feet for a big man, and he is a big man. He's athletic, he can bend, he plays aggressively. When you watch him on film, he's trying to hurt people. He's only 2 years into football, 2 or 3 at the most, so we really are excited about his upside. His mom is a delightful woman who works for the U.S. Postal Service and was angry that we used FedEx to deliver the letter of intent. And God bless her, I don't blame her. I'd be mad too. So Max Christensen is a 6 foot, 235-pound defensive end from Skyview High School in Smithfield, Utah. Great motor, plays really hard all the time, has natural pass rush ability. And you may say, well, 6 foot tall, but he has got the wingspan of a 6'6" man. He's got unusually long arms, which is something that we measure when we get them in camp or on campus. And that kind of makes up for the height deficiency. You know, he's got long arms to keep people off of him. Max is going to go on a 2-year mission as part of his Mormon faith, and we support it 100%. We wish him Godspeed and the best of luck, and hopefully he doesn't lose too much weight by the time he gets back here. Ty Ganji was a mid-year enrollee. He's a 6'2", 205-pound quarterback from Ventura Community College, and he's originally from Glendale, California. Played at St. Francis as a prep in La Cañada, went to Colorado for a year, and then went back to Ventura Community College. We love his makeup. That's the thing that we like most. Just a great person. I personally love his ability to use his feet. You can see on film he can extend plays, and he can make plays in the zone read game. Not an overwhelmingly powerful arm, but he can make all the throws, and I think he's very accurate. And he's got 3 years of eligibility left. I'm anxious to see what he does in the spring. We're not talking about, is there a quarterback competition? I just want him out there to see what it looks like in the springtime, and we'll go from there. Nick Gregg, 6 foot, 295, probably more like 305 at this point, from Reed High School here in Reno. Powerfully built, and again, another guy light on his feet. Saw him play in person against Damani Ranch and was just astounded at how well he moved for a guy his size. We wanted to get bigger inside in order to defend the run, and obviously Nick can do that. And also for us, very important, we identified him early. We really liked him in the summer going into his junior year, and wanted to stay on him and trying to keep the best guys here at home locally. And he's one of the best ones, and we're glad he's staying home. Lawson Hall is a 6 foot, 215-pound linebacker, another Narbonne High School graduate or soon-to-be graduate. He lives in Harbor City, California. He's a hybrid. He can play inside or outside linebacker, can function in space, really athletic, tough enough to go into the box, and again, another product of a very, very successful Narbonne program. Outstanding student, great kid, great mom. He will make us better just by his personality alone. Isaiah Hamilton, 5'11", 190, Inderkum High School, Sacramento, California. He's a running back. Loved him off his junior film. Loved him. And we got involved then. He's got decent size. He's not huge, but he's big enough. He's got good feet. He's got good vision. He's got straight line burst. I mean, he sees it and can hit it. He's a unique story, and he's probably a little bit under the recruiting radar because of it. He made a decision to transfer high schools under the guise of, I might have to sit a couple of games. His case went all the way up through, I believe, what's called the CIF, and eventually they just deemed him ineligible for the year. So Isaiah didn't play his senior year. One of the reasons we decided that we were absolutely going to take him was watching him handle this frustration and what was a very unique situation. Watched him run scout team every day at practice. What a great teammate it was, how mature he was, and how he kept himself in shape just kind of solidified it for us. I think he's a great kid and has a chance to be one of the really good stories of this class. David Harvey is a 6'1", 193-pound receiver from New Caney High School in New Caney, Texas. That's outside of Houston. He was an all-Metro Houston selection and incredibly productive as a senior, over 1,000 yards receiving. To be all-Metro Houston something, that's really good football down there. We've recruited him to play the slot, but I think he could play outside if he needed to. He's got good speed, he's got good hands, and he's a 193-pound high school receiver. He's pretty physical for a skill guy. Excited about David. We knew about him. We had a decommitment in the class late in the fall, which opened up a spot, and we appreciate he and his coaches allowing us to come in and try and re-engage, and we're lucky that we ended up with him. Kevin Howell is a 5'10", 180-pound defensive back from Thousand Oaks in Thousand Oaks, California. And if any of our fans have watched his highlight film yet, there are a couple hits in the film that you go, ooh. And there's a couple that we edited so that you couldn't see the penalty flags come flying in. Really physical football player, especially for his size. He throws his body around, plays really hard. And I tell you what, he was an outstanding return man, and his statistics as a slot receiver were really good. This guy played all the time in all three phases. He's just a really good football player. People will want to be down on him because of his height. We don't care. I mean, he does it all. Dak Irby is a 6'1", 187-pound corner from Morse High School in San Diego. What is most exciting about Dak is his size and length. He's over 6 foot. He is another guy with long arms. So when you have a corner that has long arms and height, you don't necessarily have to be 4'5". You have length and range to make up for that. We saw him in camp. We love the way he moved. Smooth feet, smooth hips. And frankly, he could play safety at some point if we needed him to. Daylon Johnson is a safety, 6'1", 170 from Oak Ridge High School in Conroe, Texas. Another Metro Houston guy. He has great length. He needs a year in the weight room at 170 pounds, but he will get bigger. He makes some plays in the middle of the field that are really exciting, but he also, even at 170, you see him come into the box and tackle people. Daylon's family is originally from New Orleans. His family, at the end, he had a school much closer to New Orleans. Get involved with him, and I know he felt a tug on his heart and some family pressure probably to be closer to where they were from, but he was very honest with us. We had some really thoughtful conversations at the end, and in the end, he was strong enough to follow his heart and be here. And when we deal with things like that in recruiting, I can't help but appreciate it. So we thank him. Jackson Kincaid is the guy that in the signing class that everybody says, well, where'd that one come from? Jackson's a 5'8", 180-pound running back from St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He lives in Boynton Beach. Really exciting player. I mean, the first time I saw the film, I perked up and said, whoa, look at this guy. Highly productive against some of the best competition in the entire country. He's undersized, there's no doubt about it, but he makes up for it with exceptional quickness, exceptional feet, and exceptional vision. He comes from one of the best programs in the entire country. There have been just countless Division I-A players come out of the St. Thomas Aquinas program with Coach Smith and now Coach Harriet. What happened was two guys got hurt in front of him. One of them, I think both of those guys had already committed to 1A programs, and he really did not take over as a starter until the third or fourth game of the season. And all he did was end up the Broward County Player of the Year, second team All-State, and lead the team to a state championship in the state of Florida, which is impressive. Frankly, I think one of the reasons we're able to get involved is because by October the 1st, most of the Power Fives are done. They have everybody committed. And that had allowed us to get involved. And we have friends down in the program that alerted us to it. We developed a relationship. I had recruited some players to Notre Dame out of that program and was tight with Coach Smith, so there was a relationship. And then when we hired Coach Noodleberg, I think it kind of put it over the top because he had strong Florida ties and knew the family a little bit. So we're excited to have Jackson. I think it's a pretty cool story. Sean Krebs is a 6'5", 320-pound offensive lineman from Riverside Community College. He went to Washington State out of high school, then went back to the JC. He's big. He's obviously big, powerful, plays with a nasty streak. He played tackle and guard at Riverside, which we feel good about because he competed out there on the edge, but there's no doubt we want him to move inside the guard. He's here now. He's doing well in the weight room. Matt Eck feels good about it, and I'm hopeful that Sean can get himself involved in the mix quickly with the Union. Nikita Lealao is a 6'2", 305-pound defensive tackle from Laney College. He's originally from Hayward, California. He went to junior college for a year, then went on a 2-year Mormon mission, then came back to junior college. So this guy's been out of high school now for 4 years. We're getting an older, more physically and emotionally mature guy. He's got 2 years left, and he's got 3 for 2, but obviously we brought him here to compete. So hopefully he'll stay healthy and help us up front. He's a strong dude. There's no doubt he's going to be a run stuffer, but that's what we brought him here for. Marcus Lucas is a 5'11", 183-pound safety from McGill-Tulane Catholic High School in Mobile, Alabama. Really versatile player. I think he's going to be a safety, but he played corner and safety. Often, hey, let's go put him on their best player. They won a state championship. He runs well. He displayed really good man-to-man cover skills, which in this day and age of spread football, your safeties have to be able to cover. And again, Coach Thomas, and why wouldn't we get 3 players from Alabama in 3 years? But Coach Thomas does a great job. He goes back there for 1 week in the spring, and we just identify the guys we think we could get involved with. And Marcus was another guy that we got involved quickly, and then all the other schools that would have made more geographic sense got involved after his senior year was over. But Ricky had done such a nice job of establishing a relationship. Marcus had been here on an official visit early in the year, felt at home, and we're able to keep him in the family, and we're really excited about that. Okay, so the one surprise in the class, I would imagine, Akeel Lynch, 5'11", 220-pound tailback. He will graduate from Penn State in the spring, and that is important to mention that he is going to graduate, which we're thrilled for him. He went to my alma mater. Shout out to the Red Raiders, St. Francis High School back in Athol Springs outside of Buffalo. And I've known Akeel since he was a junior. He's originally from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We've known him forever. He's going to be here in June. We had some contact when he got released at Penn State, and obviously it made sense for us to at least talk to each other because we've known each other so long. Akeel went into the season as the starter at Penn State, got nicked up, got surpassed by a younger player. That's college football. That happens. Most importantly, he's getting his degree and he wants an opportunity to come in and be impactful on a program. And this is by no means is this any kind of indictment about how we feel about James Butler. Obviously, we love James Butler, but we have also shown for the last 2 years that we want to play two tailbacks. We want to. We believe that towards the end of the season, it makes us better because they have more tread on their tire by the time we get to late November. We have not guaranteed Akil anything other than the opportunity to come in here. But if he proves that he deserves to play, then we'll roll two backs just like we have been. And I tell you what, it's amazing. It's amazing how life works. Don Jackson never blinked an eye when we recruited James Butler and was great to him. And James Butler hosted Akil Lynch when he came here on his visit. And that's the kind of quality selflessness, the servant leadership that we're looking for. So I'm excited to have Akil. We've known him for a long time. Lester Erb recruited him when he was at Iowa. So we're invested in every young man's future, but we know this guy, and I think this is going to be a neat addition. Jake Nelson is a 6'5", 275-pound offensive tackle from Saddleback Community College. He's from San Juan Capistrano, California. We knew Jake in high school, and we were close to pulling the trigger at the end of last year on him, but we were concerned about whether or not he could get there physically. Could he get enough weight on? And Jake went to junior college as a qualifier to get bigger and prove to everybody that he could play at this level. And sure enough, he got better and put some really good film out there as a junior college player. He has 4 years left to compete for 3. He needs the weight room. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up redshirting and then, having him for 3 years. But the best thing he can do is move his feet. He can block the edge, plays with his hands, and competes. So we want to give this guy over to Matt Eck and say, all right, do your magic and look up a year from now and have this guy be a 295-pound tackle that's ready to play. DJ Powell is a 6'2", 210-pound linebacker from El Cerrito High School in El Cerrito, California. Had him in camp, very athletic, can run, can change direction. He's a little bit raw because he's kind of played all over the place on offense and defense. We're going to play him at linebacker. Really believe that he's got big upside. And some of his best highlights on film are catching a screen and running away from everybody. There's a great clip of him running down on a kickoff and blowing up 2 guys. We know he's physical. He's a guy that we're betting on. We're betting that in a couple of years with his frame and athleticism that we're going to end up with a really good defensive player. Alex Simpson, 6'1", 215 pounds, Palisades Charter High School. He's from Pacific Palisades, California. Instinctive player that makes a lot of plays in high school. We identified him very early in the process, like about this time last year. We were already working on Alec. He's been with us the whole way. We appreciate his loyalty. And every year there's one ringleader in recruiting, the one guy that talks to everybody and tries to bring them all together. Alec was the ringleader in this class, to the point where at one point we had to have a little Twitter discussion. Ironically enough, I shouldn't be giving anybody any Twitter lessons right now, but he was the ringleader, and we appreciated it a great deal. Last guy, Cameron Toomer, 6'2", 237-pound defensive end from Palo Verde High School in Las Vegas. He was in our Vegas camp, and that's why that Vegas camp is so important, because we've signed a guy to the Vegas camp each of the 3 years that we've done it. He jumped out, his athleticism. He ran sub 4.6 at 6'2" and 230 pounds probably at that time. Put him in the pass rush drills. He looked great, very coachable, very athletic. He's got a brother that plays in the National Football League. And also, again, important to try and keep him in state. And here's another in-state guy that we're able to do. I would like to take 1 second to congratulate the other signees in Northern Nevada. There were guys that we recruited. There were guys, hey, sometimes we may not be a fit for them, or we may not be looking for what they present at the certain position, but there were some really good players in our part of the state this year, and we're happy for them. We wish them the best of luck, and in a couple of cases, we'll be cheering for them in every game, but when we see them. So congratulations to those guys, and frankly to all the high school coaches up here have done a great job. Lastly, we are going to add some preferred walk-ons, some non-scholarship players. In the last 3 seasons, we've had 6 guys earn full scholarships from the walk-on program, and it's really important to us to keep, if there's a local player that wants to play 1A football, we want to be able to provide that opportunity and continue to do that, and the walk-on program is really important. And there are a couple that I'm really excited about, but the NCAA will not allow me to speak about them specifically today. There'll be a time in the spring when these guys will accept admission here that I'll probably put out a tweet with a picture and welcoming them, because and those guys know who they are. We're trying to keep some guys here at home that we think eventually could end up on the field helping. So I appreciate everybody's patience. It is important to me that we talk about these guys individually for a moment. But with that, I will take any questions that anybody has.
Coach, what kind of running back is Akil Lynch? I mean, by size, he looks like a bruiser. Is he north south? Does he have some looseness? What's he like?
He's a big guy. I mean, he is a grown man. I mean, he's had 4 years in a Power 5 weight room. He looks like a grown man. He is a downhill. He's not going to outrun people around the edge. He's a downhill one-cut runner, but he is fast enough to run away from safeties, and we've seen it on film in the Big Ten.
How big of a day is this for you? I mean, just all the work, all the late nights and the traveling, just emotionally, do you finally go, all right, we've got our class?
Yeah, it's a very important day, and it's the culmination of a year's worth of work, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking because I have been at a place where I'm standing by the fax machine and then you look up and the guy signed with another school. So until it's done, it's not done. But it's also a celebration. It's a celebration of our future and another year of building a foundation that we think will hopefully lead to a Mountain West Conference championship. We're tired, but that's the nature of what we do. The last 3 weeks for me have been a lot of 5 cities in 5 days type of deal. And unlike Kevin Sumlin and the Swag Copter and all these guys that go around on private planes, I'm rocking the C Group in Southwest. So if I forget to check in the night before, I'm in the middle seat. So, it's a lot of things, but I think everybody's excited. And it's like I said last year, everybody in America right now is undefeated. We recruited all the answers. Hope springs eternal. And I fully admit that this class, there's nobody that you look at and say, oh my gosh, how'd they get him? But I think it's a rock solid group. There's nobody that I look at and say, oh geez, I hope he pans out, or oh my gosh, he's going to be a headache. I don't see any of that, and I hope that we're right. You got to be right more times than you're wrong, so we'll see.
What's your favorite thing about the class?
Their quality of character. They were fun to recruit. There was not a lot of drama. There were a lot of great parents. There were a lot of unique stories, and I will share this. I won't share who, but we had one recruiting weekend where I think we had 3 or 4 adoptive families as a part of the weekend, and obviously for me personally, that's a very I care very deeply about that. And now you have 3 or 4 families on one recruiting visit that share the exact same experience. That was incredibly unique and a lot of fun to be able to talk about that shared experience. Great parents. Daylon Johnson's family was one of the all-time home visits I've ever made. We Skyped with Grandma, who wanted him desperately at a school closer to New Orleans, and we were just a lot of fun. And Travion Armstrong's family is a lot of fun. This didn't feel like the Baton Death March. in terms of it was a lot of fun. It was enjoyable. So.
Is there a position or two that you feel like you really strengthened and is the standout position of this class?
I think this DB crop is really good. I really do, and I think one or two of these freshmen is going to end up in the depth, hopefully not starting, but is going to have to be in the two deep, because while we are young in the defensive backfield, we're not necessarily deep. So we got that going for us. We're young and not deep. But, we obviously, the two young safeties played well, and we were rolling some young corners in on the other side of Elijah Mitchell. But we had to get deeper, and I felt like we got deeper, but we picked the collective talent group of the group up, So, and then it's hard not to get excited about the running back group, because I think Akil has an opportunity to make an immediate impact. He can help us win games next year. And then I really like Isaiah and Jackson. And I think there's some sleepers in the group too. I don't think very many people are thinking about Kevin Howell. Kevin Howell just destroys people on film. I think I was looking at David Harvey's film and couldn't understand why more people weren't involved. Maybe because he's not elite at anything, but he's really good at everything. I think he's going to end up being a really solid football player. So, again, it goes, I think, top to bottom, a pretty solid class.
I feel like a lot of freshmen might be able to make an impact like, Damian and the Jane 2 years ago, or are you guys at the point where you don't need that because of the last couple of classes?
I'm more concerned that the JUCO guys can try and make an immediate impact. You'd like to get it to a point where you're not counting on your freshmen to play like James and Damian had to play. That's when you know you really got it going. Or if the guy does play, it's just because he's exceptional, he's elite, and has to. And maybe you could say that about Damian, that he was just so good, we had to play him. But I'm really hopeful that the Sean Krebses, that the Nikita Lealaos of the world, where is Ty Ganji going to fit? But I'm more hopeful that they can have an immediate impact than I would be a freshman at this point.
I think 9 guys on the 2 lines. I mean, that seems like that's the theme.
Yeah, and we're still not where we want to be. Honestly, we were talking about that this morning. We are still not where I would like to be as it relates to the scholarship model. So we're closer on the D line than we are on the O line. But we as a staff believe that it's got to start on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and we will never stop trying to improve on the lines of scrimmage.